welcome back for another video. This time I'm following up exactly what I said last time, or sort of mentioned, Spider-Man-2. And so this game is a classic, it's a gem, everyone loves it to death, everyone loves it, everyone loves Spider-Man-2. I don't think I've ever came across one person who disliked it, who hated it. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's somebody out there. I'm just saying that their opinion is very hard to come by. And honestly, you would think that this game wouldn't be as praised as it is. You would think that maybe... I mean, Spider-Man 2, in terms of the Sam Raimi movie, also was one of the greatest movies and pieces of entertainment, I think you could say, of all time. Definitely of all cinema, and definitely of all superhero movies. It's just, in general, Spider-Man 2 was that damn good. Spider-Man 2 was the peak of the Sam Raimi movies, and also is the peak of the 2000s, I guess middle 2000s superhero movies, because there wasn't anything else going on. But yeah, so what makes this game so legendary in so many people's eyes? Well, first of all, it introduced the most, well, it introduced the first time where the swinging was so good that it became almost simulation. The swinging isn't perfect in the game, but it's a perfected version of every swinging mechanic beforehand, and it hits it perfectly. This game is this game is the original interpretation of what modern games have already done. Because of this game. This game is an innovator. Essentially, all the mechanics that drive games like Spider-Man on PS4, or I'd even say the Amazing Spider-Man games that were on last gen, and all sorts of other Spider-Man media. I guess there isn't too many that fit in the category of being direct inspirations or direct descendants of Spider-Man 2. There's no direct descendants of Spider-Man 2 besides Spider-Man 3, obviously, in the literal sense. But I'm just saying that there are plenty of games that also fit outside of the category that this one lies in, such as Edge of Time and Shattered Dimensions, stuff like that. But yeah, so basically, the story, I feel like the story is the weakest part of the game. It's not even, and that will sound horrible to a lot of people. And I'm not even calling the story bad. I'm just saying that there are a few storylines that come across as a little bit cringy. That's also not even me saying that there are a lot of storylines that do. I feel like the only one that really bugs me is the Mysterio storyline. And it's not even because it's bad. It's just because it really turns Mysterio into a punching bag. Like, Mysterio is not as powerful as he should be in that game. And while Mysterio doesn't have to be complete god tier either, in any sense, in any media, in any game, in any movie, I'm just saying he deserves he's able to outsmart the Avengers. He's able to dodge and hide from some of the most powerful heroes. He's able to fuck with everybody. Now, obviously, once he's a part of the Sinister Six, he becomes nothing more than a body. But everyone does once they've joined the Sinister Six. They just lose and lose and lose. For no reason. But still, I feel like the story should have had a little bit more nuance, even though a lot of people do insist that the game's story beats many others. I'm just saying that there are some moments that are a little bit cringy. A little bit. So, if the story is that comparably good, even though it's the weakest part of the game, then everything else is magnified, because everything else I'm calling better than that. So, the graphics. I feel like the graphics aren't bad, and I don't know if I want to call them weaker than the story, or if I want to call them at the level that the story is, because the graphics aren't great. They're really not. But they're not terrible. If I were to put it this way, the graphics are okay. They're okay for their time. They have no flaws, which I guess makes them a little bit higher than the story. But it's just, in general, it's a little bit like not outdated, but it's just not fully designed. I don't know why I say that, but I'm just saying that there's a lot more impressive graphics from years prior of other games in media. I'm not even saying that Spider-Man-2's graphics is that bad. I'm just saying that it's surprising, given that I would say Spider-Man 1, a game with far less depth, far more linearity, it looks better. It just looks better. And I can understand that game is just basically an action adventure. So of course the graphics are going to be a little bit better, because a good amount of the data isn't spent on the actual world. But I'm just saying, rather way, they could have made them more impressive. But it's okay. They're fine. No flaws, but they're just fine. The combat is pretty good. The way, I'd say, the way you fight, this game defines the combat for the rest of the Spider-Man series, because every game has, Ultimate Spider-Man does the same thing as Spider-Man-2, but just adds the web-up mechanic, where you have to web them up. Other games, I'd say, like Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions, Edge of Time, Amazing Spider-Man, all of those games, even Spider-Man of the PS4, all of them come in the vein, in the descendants of this game's combat. So that's also something you should mind. The characters, absolutely fantastic. The way they use the Rogues Gallery is very good, I would say. Some of the people who were in Spider-Man 1 don't appear again. I think that includes a Vulture. I don't think he shows up at all in the well, maybe in the third game, I don't know. There was going to be Venom at one point. I mean, I would prefer Venom to be in Spider-Man 2 and then Spider-Man 3, because, you know, I'm a fucking freak. I'm a freak. But even then, it doesn't matter. But, here's the only other thing. I feel like some of the missions, now while I love difficulty and challenge, I always opt out and prefer to put my game on higher difficulties than before. But here's my problem though. There was just a few missions that don't come to mind. I'm mostly thinking of the mission where you fight Doc Ock on a train, but there are some missions where the mechanics are a little bit broken, or just difficult as all hell. So, bear that in mind also. But yeah, I don't want to leave any spoilers, and I also don't want to put too much time into the game in terms of talking about it, so my final verdict is an 8.8. Now, I gave Ultimate Spider-Man an 8.9, so I still think Ultimate Spider-Man is an evolved version of Spider-Man-2. Spider-Man-2 is a legendary game, but it has more flaws than other games that come after it, except for 3. Of course not 3. 3 will get its own review, I'm sure, someday, but that depends if I even get it or care about it, but I'm sure it'll be brought up. Nonetheless, it's just, it doesn't have flaws, but it also doesn't have all the improvements it could have. So it's not as up to date as it could be, but it's also at the level it should be. And it's also above where it should be at the same time. So my final verdict is 8.8. All in all, great game, great franchise, especially because it's a part of the Raimi franchise, but I still have to put it just one notch below Ultimate Spider-Man nonetheless. I'll see you later.